Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, December 6, 2021, Monday. मैं सूरज सिंह भारत इंडिया से बोल रहा हूँ। आज दिसंबर 6, 2021 सुबह के 3:35 3:35 AM and I'm here to talk to you. I'm here to talk to you issues. Title is as usual field engineering life, engineers quality and contracts, various contracts, designs, method, disputes, organizations, communications. As usual, we every day take into considerations while videos and audio signals are zero, well, I am concerned, and frame per second rate is also very small. Only sometimes it goes up, sometimes down. I can't help it. It is Airtel. I can't comment also, no use. I have written to them many times and doesn't take action. These certifications, as usual, for your information, I want to disseminate this information to everyone. What are certificates in engineering? And also all these certificates which are used in our country as well as in other countries throughout the world. These various certificates for various requirements, and these requirements are quality, that is very important. This is my identification name, my professional titles and my email ID, as well as you can say my residential address. My email ID is Suraj SURAJ underscore engineer ENGINEER at yahoo.co.uk. You can write to me in this connection if you have certain civil engineering question or professional engineering question or something like that. Issues related to engineering, related to quality. आपके पास यदि कोई प्रश्न है, आप मुझे उस प्रश्न को इस ईमेल आईडी एड्रेस पर लिख सकते हैं। टेलीफोन भी दिया है, लेकिन टेलीफोन मैं आमतौर पे अननोन लोगों से जिनके मेरे पास सेव है उनके अलावा किसी के स्वीकार नहीं करता, क्योंकि बहुत ही बदतमीज़ी होती है आजकल मोबाइल पे। एक तरह का कह सकते हैं अनइनवाइटेड पीपल लोग करते रहते हैं और वो मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता। यू आर बिजी समवेयर एंड यू गेट ए कॉल फॉर नथिंग एंड आई डोंट लाइक दैट। नोबडी हैज़ एनी राइट टू वेस्ट टाइम ऑफ अदर्स। इन्होंने तो एक धंधा बना लिया है सभी कंपनीज ने, बस मोबाइल पे फ़ोन किए जाओ और लोगों को तंग किए जाओ। क्रेडिट कार्ड चाहिए, लोन चाहिए, ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए, बिना मतलब। वो एक एब्यूज़ है पब्लिक का, जो भी कह सकते हैं। वो भी एक क्वालिटी की डिग्रेडेशन है, सोशल क्वालिटी की डिग्रेडेशन। और ये इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ इंजीनियर्स और ये मेरा इमेज फॉर योर इंफॉर्मेशन ओनली, एंड दिस इज इंटरनेशनल सर्टिफिकेट अंडर IPEA, International Professional Engineers Agreement, and this is Chartered Engineer India Certificate according to Royal Charter 1935. This Royal Charter is for Institution of Engineers India, and of course then this is file of quality, which I think is very important submission to you for your assistance. What do I understand by क्वालिटी? मैं क्वालिटी के बारे में, गुणवत्ता के बारे में क्या समझता हूँ, अपने विचार मैंने इसमें दिए हैं। माई अंडरस्टैंडिंग, माई ओपिनियन, माई कंसिडरेशन, everything has been included in this file for coordination, for dissemination, or you can say for interaction, on which I put in front page, communication and coordination, most significant disciplines and subjects, which actually has been missing these days. Communication is done by mobile, it is done by emails, it is done by SMS, but it's not done in really by interaction, by total writing, or you can say documentary writing. Coordination is missing because communication is missing. These both are very significant. If you really want to move forward, everybody wants to jump on mobiles use. Writing skill has gone down. Even if you see writings by lawyers and advocates, or you can see writings by even newspaper journalists, editors, you don't find that standard as it used to be before. आप जर्नलिस्ट का, एडिटर्स का राइटिंग देख लीजिए न्यूज़पेपर में और कहीं भी जहाँ आपको चांस मिलता है, आपको लगेगा नहीं कि कोई प्रोफेशनल राइटिंग है। ऐसा हो गया है। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि इंग्लिश के हम गुलाम बन जाएं, वो भी ठीक नहीं है, और ना ही हम हिंदी के गुलाम बने, ना ही हम किसी और लैंग्वेज के गुलाम बने। हम गुलाम बने तो अपनी शक्ति के बने, अपनी नॉलेज के बने। वो ज्ञान लोगों को देना है तो कम्युनिकेशन करनी पड़ेगी, और कम्युनिकेशन होगी तो कोऑर्डिनेशन भी होगी, क्योंकि दोनों का रिश्ता है आपस में। आप अंधेरे में कम्युनिकेशन करके चल नहीं सकते, आपको बताना तो पड़ेगा आपने कैसा संचार किया है, इसका क्या मतलब है, किससे लिंक है इसका। वी हैव टू एक्सप्लेन what communication it is, why it is, about what it is, and why it is related to some subject, or only it is in ashtray, or it is, you can say, in air. You cannot do that. हिंदी में कहते हैं संचार, कम्युनिकेशन को, और तालमेल या संतुलन कह सकते हैं, तालमेल कह सकते हैं, पता नहीं क्या कहते होंगे। कोऑर्डिनेशन को मैं तो ये समझता हूँ कि कोई भी काम, उसमें जितने भी लिंक्स हैं, इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, एक टाइम पे मिलनी चाहिए। वॉट एवर इज रिक्वायर्ड टू वर्क फाइनली, दैट फाइनल वर्क हैज सर्टेन बेसिस, सर्टेन लिंक्स, and all information related to those links must come together at one point of time, and that time every information should be available when we have to proceed something or process something. Therefore, I can consider this, that communication and coordination is very significant part of work and related disciplines and subjects. I am not talking of news communication, I am talking of work communication. If you have communication skill along with coordination skill, you can become a good professional. You can become a good personal. You can become a good leader. You can become a good convincer. Means you must have expertise in communication and coordination, because there is no profession as such. You can say that you got communication and coordination. It depends upon your involvement. ये आपके ऊपर है कि आप कितना प्रयोग करते हैं संचार का, कोऑर्डिनेशन का, तालमेल का, जिससे कि आपका काम बिल्कुल सही हो। आपने काम तो कर दिया, लेकिन उसमें कुछ भूल गए, कुछ ध्यान नहीं दिया। आप चाहे ड्राइंग बनाएं या काम करें या कुछ और करें, कुछ मिस कर दिया, बाद में पता लगा। यू हैव मिस समथिंग विच यू डिस्कवर लेटर ऑन दैट यू मिस्ड इट, एंड वर्क हैज़ बीन डन. This means that work is flawed one. That work doesn't meet requirement. वो वर्क आपने सही नहीं किया, गलत कर दिया। इसीलिए I again say written document is a must for reference. और रेफरेंस बहुत बड़ी चीज़ होती है, रेफरेंस छोटी चीज़ नहीं होती है। ये बहुत स्ट्रांग वर्ड होता है रेफरेंस। रेफरेंस you must have. It may be documented in whatever form. It can be written, it can be, you can say, photograph, it can be, you can say, sketch, about which you can link to someone else. आप खाली लिप सर्विस नहीं दे सकते, Only lip service is not acceptable. You have to give real service. लिखित में दस्तावेज बहुत आवश्यक है, याद रखिएगा। हमें हर काम में स्पेसिफिकेशन चाहिए होती है, हमें निर्देश चाहिए होते हैं। हमें कोई भी काम कराना है तो उसमें बताना होता है कि आपकी आवश्यकता क्या है या हम आपको क्या दे सकते हैं। When you buy something from market, you have to see specifications, or that product tells you what is its specifications, or if it is food product, you said what are ingredients you can consume. Otherwise, every use specifications, what is voltage, what is wattage, how it can be used, how it cannot be used. Every criteria is defined on product. Maybe it is right or wrong, I cannot say. But that is, use specification or construction specification or whatever you can say is given. We have to be careful about that. And of course, when I am talking of engineering, this means I talk very high profile. Because in engineering, first step, major step is design, which can be field or real design, or third stage, shop and working design. Important point is design stage when you have to make decision, and design is always full of making decisions. Not one, not two, but a chain of decisions. एक फैसला नहीं करना है, दो फैसले नहीं करने हैं, एक पूरी की पूरी श्रृंखला है जिसकी आपको फैसला करना होता है डिज़ाइन में। जब इंजीनियरिंग का डिज़ाइन आता है, इंजीनियरिंग का डिज़ाइन आपका इन्वेंट किया हुआ नहीं है, वो एक फार्मूलों पर बेस्ड है, एक प्रोसीजर पर बेस्ड है, मटेरियल प्रॉपर्टीज़ पर बेस्ड है। डिज़ाइन इज़ नॉट एन आइसोलेशन, इट हैज़ गॉट मैनी रिलेशंस, material relation, theory relation, procedure relation, individuality relation, consideration relation. So many relations exist in design. And then research relation. Design is very significant one. It's a kind of doctrine of engineering, you can say. Doctrine of engineering science, DES, doctrine of engineering science. And it's very significant one. It involves intelligence. It involves generality. It involves, you can say, what you can say? Nothing else, everything else. Design is something where mind is used, where experience is used, where proposition is used, where imagination is used, and where you can say nothing else is left that is not used. But unfortunately, physical existence of that design that should be is not taken care of, and that is problem which you should solve. We have to consider about. When we design something, it's not a piece of art, no, it's a piece of product on papers, product which you have to produce, we have to deliver. That should be real design, that this is a design product. This is not just product produced without considering anything. Therefore, we can say it's responsibility of design specifying engineer to include demanded technical activity. And when I say demanded, this means required one. Demanded by whom? Demanded by user, end user, or who shall use it. That person is called owner of that. If that designed product, we just usually say, oh, this is a design cloth, this is a design pant, design shirt, we say. This means that profile of cloth is same as detailed profile of your body. This means whatever we design and whatever we construct, both should meet each other, both should be compatible, though there should be no difference in their requirements, they should fit in for that purpose. Wish was nata. Wish Vishwasniyata, we say, when we say reliability, it is very important point, reliability, because sometimes we have to understand these points very well. हमको ये समझना बहुत आवश्यक है. हम जो बात कर रहे हैं, I think it's long way gone. Risk and this is reliability. Vishwasniyata, degree of trust, we may say. Term itself says reliability. Well, if you say liability, liability is something legal. So you have to take responsibility in each and every aspect of something, and that is called reliability. And reliability, we can say in translation into Hindi language, it can be said, Vishwasniyata. How much do you trust this? किस लेवल तक आप इसको विश्वास करते हैं, इस आइटम को, इस गुड को और इस सर्विस को. दैट इज कॉल्ड रिलायबिलिटी. I trust fully, I don't trust fully, and means it is for you or for you not. You have to decide out whether it is for me or it's not for me. It suits my purpose or it doesn't suit my purpose. You can say that. This means if you have to define reliability or vishwasniyata, it should be safe, first of all, from involved factors, और फॉर पर्पस फॉर विच गोइंग टू डू, या आपके पर्पस को, आपकी समस्या को सुलझाए सेफली, कोई गड़बड़ ना करे और आपकी प्रॉब्लम की सेवा दे. जिस पर्पस के लिए, जिस मंजिल के लिए आपने वो प्रोडक्ट बनाया है या यूज़ कर रहे हैं या ख़रीदा है, और वो जो भी रिक्वायरमेंट है उसको पूरा करें, जिस पर्पस के लिए आपने उसको बनाया या ख़रीदा, और वो उसको उतने समय तक चलने दें जितने समय के लिए वो चलना चाहिए. या आप कह सकते हैं उसकी ज़िंदगी कितनी हो उस प्रोडक्ट की, यूज़ किया जा सके, उसके सिवाय सब चीज़ें, जितने भी इश्यूज़ हैं उसके, वो सब में फिट बैठे. दिस मीन्स वी हैव डिफाइंड रिलायबिलिटी हियर, degree of trust in product, and that is, you can say, creation of engineering. You may say this is engineering product because it is based on engineering procedures, engineering design, engineering theories, engineering analysis, and it says that product should first of all safe from every aspect. You cannot say I should put in connection to electrical supply and it bursts. Therefore, it should be safe from every energy point of view, from use point of view, whatever it is. And it should give you service. Whatever service it was intended for is intended for. That purpose should be served by this service. And that's what we can say service ability. Of course, and it is a point that we can say is compatibility, it is serviceability, its fulfillment of your expectation, and it should work for those number of years for which it has been designed for. Of course, it is with safety cover, you can say, and that should be at least, it should work for that period. And if it works more than that, based on maintenance service, based on retrofitting, we can say its life can be enhanced, prolonged. And whatever else is required, whatever knowledge is required, that we have to see this reliability is very, very important definition. And we will say that one should learn before taking responsibility, and all foregoing issues must be considered along with all possible risks, or else if failed, all efforts go in vain. जो भी आपने किया, मेहनत की, सोचा समझा, सब पानी में चला जाएगा अगर आप सीख के या सही तरह से काम नहीं करेंगे. और you have in your front analysis, which is of course you can say engineer's basic requirement. One engineer must do analysis for every every consideration, every issue on things. And if I use some formula, why I use that formula, I should know about that. If I use some procedure, if I employ some procedure, I should know why, what's the reason behind that. Because you cannot work at random, you cannot run unplanned. It may be instant planning, it doesn't matter, but it should be sequential planning. You should know which step goes first, which is second. And to do all that, you have to conduct analysis. We do it in engineering, and we do it in life as well. If you are good people, if you are intellectuals, if you are not intellectuals, you will not, you can, okay, do it first, we'll see later on. It can't be done like that. It can't be done like that. And that's what analysis means. You have to, just like we do in design, we make drawings, we make details, and we say, okay, I'll take this plan. This plan is ready, I want to show how it shall look in somewhere. Whatever location in our plane, on the plan, you can say section AA, section BB, or whatever it is. We draw a section, and section says everything should be there. Whatever should be there must be projected in that sectional detail. It's a kind of analysis, means you can have many number of sections, any number of sections, whatever number of sections on a small or big plan, and that tells you what it should be, and that is, it's a communication process to others. Your drawing communicates, whoever reads it, whoever studies it, your drawing communicates that person. Your details communicate what you have in your mind, and it should be correct. It should be well coordinated. Your plan, your elevations, your sections, your detailing must speak to each other. If these do not speak to each other, every possibility exists that mistakes would happen. It's very important. And very important point is thinking. Again, after many days, I again talk of this thinking, concentration, which are basics of intelligence and basics of whatever we do, and in whatever branch of engineering we do, or whatever in life we do. We do so much in life, we involve so much in life that we forget. But when you concentrate, you should get complete information of that. Concentration means a link to your mind, secret mind. A link to your mind that's not with you at that time, but it comes back to you when you concentrate, when you start thinking. If your mind is peaceful, of course you cannot think when you are disturbed in mind. You have to wait for disturbance to go. The turbulence of your mind should exit. Only then you can start thinking, and of course thinking sequence leads to concentration, and that becomes at one point power of your mind. Thinking, concentration, power, these are essentials in design engineering and works engineering. Design engineering means you may have many thoughts in mind simultaneously, but one point you have to confirm, you have to catch out, you have to use that as trial. And if that point doesn't work, then you have to take another point. Likewise, you can conduct many trials, and it's called in-depth work of design. It's not simply detail they are giving. There must be reasons for that. There must be justification for that. It's not I just copy paste something. I have to think why I'm doing that. If I have explanation of that, that's fine. That's fine if I can explain, I can justify, I can logify, I can give logic. Okay, I've taken this is the reason. That's really very important. And that's engineering. That is engineering business. See, engineering means not simply conventional engineering, but real engineering. It may be whatever branch of engineering. You have to, every design, in engineering is a kind of innovation. It's a kind of something that you did not know before. You started knowing that by your mind and you then try it into physical form. Maybe sometime you get something new. And that's what we call innovation. Innovation or research or operational research, these are very significant one. In engineering and designs replaces research, and you can say when we say design means it is something fully developed. Design gives you full product. It doesn't give you half product. It gives you complete thought-based product, complete proposal of what should be done. And maybe it may be different from one person. If one person does it is one way, other person does it, it's another way. But product ultimately becomes useful. It becomes sometimes very useful, and sometimes it can be multi-purpose. It depends. And when we say we design and prosecute, that is where we can say that whatever we do should be within acceptance limit. It should be within working limit. We should not just play with it. I will just like to close certain files because I have to open new files. It's very significant one. If I close this file, for example FIE, I can close this file, and I can close the C file as well. And of course you can say one more item is never think whatever was done before is always right or was always right. It's not necessary. लकीर के फकीर नहीं बनना चाहिए. In engineering, well, is our phrasing लकीर का फकीर. This means there is a line already drawn, and it's no, I have to walk only on this line because for you there is a railway track. No, it's not train you have to use. You have to use mind, and mind can tell you whether this line is okay for you or this line is not okay for you. Every person thinks differently, and that's what we say. Stop doing work without thorough understanding applicable specifications. Specifications also you have to decide. Nobody would come and tell you, no, do like this. Okay, that person designs for you. One can say do like this. I define it. So you can say definition of specifications. You cannot either follow someone's designs or you have to do your own designs. If you follow someone's designs, you have to follow. And if you have doubt that you think you're not clear about that, then you can raise some questions, some queries, or if you have some misconception, you can get clarifications. I will say you cannot carry out work without thorough comprehending specifications. If you don't understand specifications, better don't do it, avoid it, and get clarification first. Only then you did it. Because once you do, means you have done, you have used your resources, and that is very troublesome. If it goes wrong, it goes against what was to be expected. And we have talked about general conditions. We talked about general conditions of contracts. Of course, it is some country's contract. We talked about it in, you can say, clause by clause. We talked about this, and we have gone through various clauses. I tried to record it, but there's some problem in so far about definitions and interpretations, and that is definitions, singular and plural, marginal headings and notes, and what is engineer's representative, what are duties and powers of engineer's representative we have discussed, which is very important one because we have to understand what we are talking of, how does it work. And if it doesn't work, then we have to check it. It's very important point. We cannot simply run. So we have learned various meaning of engineer's representative, and we have learned what are duties and powers of engineer's representative. Generally, we can say when there is an engineer, there is a representative, and that representative is called engineers. It's like resident engineer representative. Representation generally done by residents. You can say it is next to engineer. But engineer is engineer in contract world. You cannot say that. It is engineer only. It may be by qualification civil engineer, by qualification mechanical engineer. It can be architectural engineer. It depends upon what sort of project it is. But power of contract, administrative, technical, and engineering power within a contract, all these points go to engineer's responsibility. But budgeting is fixed on engineer's recommendation by employer, because employer has to take financial responsibility, while engineer has to take responsibility of designs, supervision, surveillance, etc., and payment, of course. And then we can say assignment and subletting. Of course, contracting it is. Subletting means further contracts. If one is a main contractor, it may be a construction contractor, or it may be engineering, procurement and construction contractor. Whatever sort of contractor one is, sometimes it happens that contract is very big. It contains many disciplines, civil, electrical, mechanical, many more, and it contains various supplies, various services. You can say even main contractor we say, or prime contractor we say, that person, because of overload or because of whatever reason or non-availability of specialty, procure some subcontract, some contractor for that service who is expert, and that is called subletting. Assignment and subletting means subcontracting, and assignment is contracting. And then extent of contract defined, what are contracts, etc. And we know what the extent of contract means, to what extent we have scope of work, and to what extent can it be expanded or cannot be expanded. And there are so many contents in that, but this we are talking of is old one. Old or new doesn't matter. Contract system cannot be changed in couple of years. And then we say contract documents. Contract documents means these documents, whatever documents. Sometimes you have thousands of documents, and sometimes you have hundreds of documents, and sometimes you have very little number of documents depending on size of project. Sometimes you have many volumes of documents, even you have hundreds and hundreds of drawings and hundreds pages of specification. Of course, what language we have to cover and use in this contract, that's given. It's not necessary it should be English or it should be some other language. It depends upon. Language is not an issue. I don't mind that if it is English language or it's French language or it is Arabic language. As far as that language is known to me, generally we use English in our country, and of course in many parts of world as communication language. We use it not as official language. Official language of contract, you can say, is English, or communication language is English. But other language, national language, which doesn't have any meaning to this language, this is only communication purpose. It serves communication and other purposes because it's common one, particularly for our people in Bharat, India. Generally, people of my time, they know good English. In documents, mutually explanatory, this is very different purpose. Many documents are available in engineering contracts, not one, not two. Technical documents, non-technical documents, commercial documents, contractual documents, and sketches, drawings, specifications, or so many. There's no limit. Now, whatever work we do, that should be a result of complete coordination of these documents. You cannot say I've done this work according to these documents and I don't care for these documents. That's not acceptable. Suppose some item has a relation to 5 documents. Out of contract total documents, 5 documents. And whatever you do should be in line to requirement of 5 documents. You cannot say I worked for this on this document, I don't care for these documents. No, you cannot say that. Because documents are mutually explanatory. And then we say custody of drawings, very basic question. In fact, drawing is produced by engineer. Of course, it's not produced by employer, but it's based on employer's expenses. So you can say custody, an engineer is you can say a representative of employer to some limits of contracts, accept reservations in financing approach. So drawing should be in custody of engineer. Of course, then copies are given to contractors, copies are given to employer, copies are given to many others. Basically, technically, or you can say statutorily, it is engineer who has designed, who shall use these drawings for purpose of contract. So its intellectual copyright stays with engineers. And of course, when work goes on, we have to keep in custody of site one copy of drawing, which should be accessed by everyone, particularly engineers, personnel and owners, and whosoever it is. Copy is given to contracting company also, because without that drawings, no one can do anything. So drawings, etc., be provided by contractor for the drawings and instruction, etc. There's so much explanation of that. First of all, you should not worry about these documents. Oh, so many documents are there. 1,000 document. How can I read it? It shall take 1 year to read that. No, it's not like that. For example, contract agreement. What is contract agreement? It's a couple of papers, maybe 4 or 5 papers. Agreement is they use. General conditions of contract are included on that agreement. The special conditions or particular conditions are included. Contract agreement is something that gives you, that mandates price, fixed price, lump sum fixed price. And it says this is work, this is price, this is agreement for a period of this much. This means duration of contract is also mentioned in that. This work shall be used, this shall be delivered in 1 year, 2 years, so many number of days. And of course, it can give you imposition of penalty type, or you can say damages type, that we cannot calculate damages based on actual losses. So we make some formula and define in contract itself that if work is delayed, per day damages that contractor shall pay to owner is this. If work is not delivered in time, delivered in defined duration of contract, and if it is delivered early, that's fine, that's no problem. But it's not delivered in time, then of course that project cannot be operated, cannot be used into work, and there should be some kind of loss to employer, because project has been failed from commissioning point of view, or it is deferred. So that is called damages point. That point can be considered damages that contractor has to pay to owner. Those are defined in contracts. In contract, data is defined and its cap is also defined. the total recoveries we cannot exceed, let us say, 10% of cost. Even then, it is imposed on contractor, but responsibility of contract stays with that. Every responsibility stays with that. So that's what we can say contract agreement is. And then of course there are so many documents which support it, like performance bond, which is also very important, and which says it declares, it binds both parties to contract. It binds employer as well as contractor, and indirectly it binds engineer also, as far as details and practical work is concerned, because it's performance bond which claims that contractor shall perform on this contract work per contract requirements, and of course when performance is well done, payment has to be made, and performance is not done, in that case this money which is covered within bond can be realized after giving notices. That is what performance is. It's a kind of security, it's a bond, or you can say it's a binding on contractor, and of course indirect binding on employer. Then there is inspection of site. Inspection is very general term, because first inspection is for site itself by contractor or would-be contractor, and then inspections are conducted every day. So inspection term everybody knows it's a continuous process for doing something which is linked to sufficiency of tender. When I say inspection of site, means there are so many involvements in this. Let's say you are going to run your business by taking some project, construction project or design and construction project. You want to do that work on site, then you should know about that site. You have all given documents, and that documents may contain information about that site, but you have no time to study that because of shortage of time of that tender submission. So what happens, at least a few meetings are conducted by that department or by that owner for issues related to contracts, tenders. And when you go to site or you are taken to site, whatever could be, maybe you arrange with their permission visit to site, and because you are an experienced person, experienced organization, contractor, then you know about that area, it becomes easy for you to know about what is that site, what is its subsoil, what is its history, and how could it behave. So you can say what sources are available there, local sources or other sources, what basic amenities can you get from that area, what about water, sewer, what about this and that, material availability, not availability, whether workers are available or not. Means you have to see from every viewpoint how do you find that. And at that time you know much, means where I can spend, where I cannot spend, what should I think, what should I do, how do I assess the site. All these points we can consider during inspection of that area. And it's not difficult, in fact it's very easy. If you are not experienced, your associates will be experienced, or you can say your other people who know about that area. So it can reflect to you something like that. And other inspections, how work during work going on, we'll take that one also. Now sufficiency of tender is something very different, in a way that it's a question of risk, financial risk and job risk. Maybe you think it's okay, I can do like that. You have covered every expenses into your contract price, expenses on each item, expenses on each activity, and you think I have taken everything, and this price which I am going to offer covers every risk, every responsibility, every factor involved, it covers. And that's what you have to make sure to assess yourself as a bidder. What can be expectations of client? What can be expectations of engineer? What can be expectations of documents? And what are your expectations? Everything should be considered. And then whatever you get, you make sure that your price includes every expense. That expense activity may be defined or may not be defined, but you can have your own way about that. So that is inspection and sufficiency of tenders. Your price must cover whatever is required by law, by engineering, and by systems, whatever. Then we have adverse physical conditions and artificial obstructions. Yes, there would be weather conditions, other conditions can be adverse, can be severe. All those points we have to think on. It depends which area it is, it depends what sort of job it is. If it's a structural job, building job, or some other, or maybe it's road. Every job is different. Road work is different to building work is different to sewer work is different to electrical work. Likewise, it depends on what information you have, what specialization you have. Are you in same category, going to work as you work in your own category? That also you have to see. Then work to be to satisfaction of engineer. Well, it's very common satisfaction. There's no personal issue of satisfaction. It is professional satisfaction, in fact. This is not my personal choice. I am an engineer. I have responsibility. I have to share responsibility of works done by others. So my satisfaction is only satisfaction when it's realized satisfaction only when I link to all requirements. It's not my personal satisfaction, I'm happy with this, no. What details on contract mandate, what specifications mandate, work should satisfy each requirement. And if you can meet that requirement, means work is done. And it is done satisfactorily because you have included whatever information was given to you, or you have found another information for that acceptable to everybody. That is, you can say, satisfaction of an engineer. So we have to take a different spirit. It is work satisfaction. Work satisfaction is not your funny satisfaction. Then we say program to be furnished. Program, or we can say schedule, or you can say total projection of what is in the mind. And of course it is in every power, you can say. One line sometimes gives projection of whole project. This is date of start, this is date of completion. We say that. And that is enough for time. But that program, we say, we should give every detail as much as possible. We say program. We should tell how many activities could be there, what is time overall, and what's time for mobilization, what's time for work doing on site, and what's time for testing and commissioning, and what's time of handing over and maintenance. These are to be charted out depending on total duration of contract, quantity of contract items. Every point should be considered, and then we have to fix in our program bars or activities whatsoever. It's intellectual work, it cannot be done, though it's be say bar chart, net chart, gram chart, or CPM or PERT. We can say whatever we say, but ultimately it is self-direction. Based on engineer's approval, are you going to flow or follow this program, or it's only for your formality fulfillment purpose? Formality fulfillment doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean any value. It doesn't have any value. It's not formality fulfillment. It should be not at all. It should be. It should be, workable program. When we say I have this bar chart, it's not only one bar chart. There will be many bar charts depending on what sort it is, how many buildings are there, how many sections are there. We have to take into consideration. So you have to fix in all your work in that period, and that should also be monitorable. We have to measure every month or whatever frequency progress of work. If we cannot measure progress from calculations, how shall we measure? And how can you claim payments then? That's what I say. We have to be very careful about this. That program we have furnished and we don't care about program. It happens. Oh, I have furnished program and program is approved, and everybody is happy that program is approved, but that approval means nothing if you don't follow it. If you don't follow it, how can you say it's happy? It's okay. No, it's not. अगर आप कर नहीं सकते इस प्रोग्राम को जो आपने बनाया है, तो बनाया क्यों है? आपने जो भी अभी तक बताया हमने, आप प्रोजेक्ट चला रहे हैं, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट चला रहे हैं, आप सब समझते हैं क्या कर रहे हैं उसको ऐसा? ये बात तो उठेगी। प्रोग्राम बना देना, कलर दे देना उसको, बड़े बड़े बार चार्ट, कलर लाल नीला पीला, लेकिन है कुछ फ़ायदा नहीं अगर आप उसको पुश नहीं कर रहे, फॉलो नहीं कर रहे, मॉनिटर नहीं कर रहे। कई बार ध्यान नहीं देते लोग। हैपन्स। सो यू कैन से प्रोग्राम is a graphics which tells something. It tells something quantity wise, cost wise, or you have to fix on that, you have to write on that, or you can say you have to write your achievements, your earnings on that program. Okay, this is program bar chart. This activity is from here to here, but how much I have done and what it should have been done in this period, what should have been proposed as on schedule, this percentage, and am I getting this percentage? You have to measure work. Measure means measure percentage of that work. Then you can say, okay, I had to achieve 50% by this time, but it's only 40%. You are lagging behind. Oh no, it was 50%, I got 55%, so I hate. That's what we have to make sure about this. So there are bar charts and there are S curves, which is, you can say, on x-axis and y-axis. One is time on x-axis and the y is achievement progress. You can say, you can compare programmed one and earned one. So you can say program is very useful tool, and it should not be, just be slave to a computer, not necessary. You have your concept, you think of that. On this project I did this. If you have some information of time study of the activity, it's for you. Then we can say superintendence. What does it mean? Superintendence, and that is contractor superintendence. Means you are a contractor, means you are a responsible person. Contractor means you have been trusted by government or by someone else officially, and people trust you means maybe it's fake trust. Sometimes people are very energetic and they create positions, but I'm not inclined to talk of fake, I'm inclined to talk of real. That I understand this job, I control this job, I know how to handle this, I know how to move it, and that's we say superintendence, highest responsibility in field, because in office work everybody is happy, everybody is energetic, I can do this. It's good for me. I worked before in this. That can be one consideration. Superintendence means you have to keep a watch on every activity which has been informed to you through daily practice report and daily analysis of COVID-19. Now COVID-19 is a part of contract also due to safety issues, due to various issues. It cannot be removed for engineering books. Books means journals or newspapers or whatever you have information temporarily. That means we have to know everything about that. And that is called superintendence. We have to take care of works in a proper way. In capacity as contractors, we have to make sure our personnel at key level, at middle level and down level, that they are important, they are competent, they are caretaker, they are very responsible. And if they are not, what for they are there? So it's a very important question. Can you superintend like this? Can you stand ourselves in that chart? It is very important point that we have to explain all these. Then we have to say contractors, employees. Superintendence is one part, means key personnel on top at site who are responsible contractually. You can say contractually, you mean to say it can be project director or it can be project organization manager. It can be project and organization managers of all branches on site like construction, planning, contracts or designs if it's on site, or you may say whatever is there on some management organization role, or you can say highest responsible role, that is called contractor superintendents. And those members who are team members or have respective responsibility to be disposed or to be obliged with. And others are contracts employees, those who do not cover themselves in this position but in working position only, in supporting position like accounts, like clerical work, like site supervisor, site workers, and also every other person who deals with activities, with works. And setting out, what is setting out, everybody knows. We have to set out plan on site. We have to set out foundation, how foundation shall work, and we have to take time in that. We want to frame your program, your schedule. Setting out once is done using GPS to our site, it gives us very hope that I at least can understand what I have to do, and we understand what someone else in our home has to do. Same way, we have to set out works on site. That should be accurate one, best one, right one. There should be no error in that. And it should be patiently done, not in haphazard way. It should be checked and checked many times, so that if it involves some error, that error can be detected for correction. Setting out is very important part because it is permanent work. Of course, setting out, marking is not permanent, but setting out is permanent. Once you do it, you cannot redo it. Keep this point in mind. Setting out means x-axis, y-axis or coordinate is northing, evening, northing, or you can say easting. We can say that this is so much and that is so much, as well as setting out, and of course vertical controls, that we say this is level here, this is level there, reduced level or inverted levels in sewer line. We have to be very careful about that, because setting out means right, setting out means right results, correct results, And contract says you have to do work rightly. Don't forget that responsibility is always on shoulders of contractors for whatever work is done on contract. Whatever work is done, because contractor is paid for that. Then we can say boreholes and exploratory excavations. We all know in soil exploration, in soil investigation, what sort of soil there exists beneath the surface. And we do not know, but information is available. It was given by, design is available, means everything is available, every information is available. But because we have to ratify it, we have to corroborate that, we have to work on designs based on information. It may be soil investigation was conducted long back, but that result has to be used. So boreholes means vertical drilling up to many meters, or it depends how many meters we have to go. That is called soil exploration, boreholes, and of course exploratory excavations. Maybe we have to excavate at many locations to make sure about bearing capacity, working or safe, and also about soil parameters, or we can do the site testing, whatever we can do. And that's what we say, boreholes and exploratory excavations with reports of soil from professional laboratories. You get lot of information from that, because that laboratory knows that area very well, and there are records from various boreholes and on your site also. Depending on requirement and depending on acceptability by engineer or resident engineer, how many boreholes are required for purpose of soil investigation, soil exploration, which is very important requirement in engineering, because if you do not understand about soil, we cannot design, we cannot imagine. Soil is soil, and of course it takes time for testing, for taking samples from site, because it's real work, it's not reference work. We cannot say on that site this was done on this site, you can do same. We cannot do same, because it is foundation. So setting out boreholes, exploratory excavations, all are linked. Then watching and lighting. When we say watching, watch for lighting. A site has to work at night also. Or it's not question of working, it's question of protection as well. Because so much property is available on site, machines and maybe more, materials, expensive items. So we can say watch and lighting. You cannot leave any site in darkness for every day. Okay, when there is some error, emergency, it's different. But you should know, site should be known to public if it is in public domain, and it should be properly illuminated, and somebody should be there. If it's possible, people are there available, then you can say guard can be held, can be given duty. And watch and lights are very important from every point of view. Then care of works, as it simply says, you have to care for work, and what care is there, you know very well. It's no explanation, means whatever material you have used should be good one and should be cooked accordingly. Likewise, we can say care of works is done. Then accepted risks which are unknown, which are not directly related to what we think of, that must be carefully worked out, but that's not very common, because it depends. Sometimes people bring with problems and you have no solution to those problems. So we have to consider like that. Then insurance of works is also a very important point. Why work is insured? Why? We have to know this, because it's question of responsibility. If something happens, that you have to claim at least your dues because of that damage to works. Insurance is done for that. Of course, insurance is not that powerful, but something is better than nothing, you can say. And of course, we have to consider damage to persons and property. Damage for what? By whatever way, by ignorance, or by somebody wants to do a job as fast as possible and run away. So we can say damage to persons and property. It can be during excavation. It can be during machine operation. It can be, it can be caused by activities you do. Persons work on site. Every class of person works on site. Work in excavation pits or work in very complicated areas. So whether they can work or they cannot work, this is to be decided by contractor and by authorities. Then what damages is caused to them, what property losses are caused because of your excavation, other property can settle. So it can be impacted. So damage to property and persons are very important point that we have to think of how to handle that. And it is to be done. We cannot say no. Indemnity by honor. Indemnity for honest responsibility is given to contractor and personnel. Okay, you are doing this job, I support you, I arrange you this information, that information every time. But at late we say, there is no trying as such, means you want to hide something. So we can say indemnity by employer. Third party insurance is also very important. You say, I know this party, but you are not a party on that contract. It's third party that shall take care of insurance as well. And generally third party, a company of insurance is third party for you. So you pay premium and your workers are insured, and that is it's a must. It's not your choice or your preference. It's a must. Then minimum amount of third party insurance, okay, that's already done. Now accident or injury to work persons. This is very common provision, and SHE, that is Safety, Health and Environment, subject covers it very brilliantly. These days, safety itself has become a discipline in engineering, or it's not simply safety, it is actual safety, real safety. Why we want to show we have got this much? Our people should be good. They should have confidence in work. I can handle that. That's required. That's very important. Safety is first consideration. No one has any right to injure people. No one has got any right to injure someone or to get someone else accident, involved with accident or some other ailment. We have no such right. And if there is right, human right, then we have to teach that human. Of course, we can say accidents or injury to workmen. There happen some accidents on sites due to whatever reason, and people, of course, lose their life too. But due to this COVID-19, everything looks as if stopped. It's not moving. So we can say everybody should be insured against injury, against safety. We should be safe. If something happens, there should be someone to take care of that. Therefore, we can say accidents have to be protected. Your eatables are protected. You cannot say I got this information. I got this information to be implemented. That's more important point we have to realize. Then is remedy on contractor's failure to insure. Now what happens if contractor is lazy or contractor does not even worry if information is fallen? It is क्या if you do not insure, but you are as contractor do not insure, you say, why should I do it? And despite you don't think it's duty in the contract, but it may be you as contractor, or it may be owner as promoter, or owner whosoever it is. Everybody has some question against contractor, and contractor has question against those people. So you can question. Everybody can question. That's what I say. You can notify other party about some requirement. That requirement be known to engineer, and that requirement must also be known by engineers, because engineer is responsible for doing activity according to requirement. So we can say issue to be approved compliance with the statutes and regulations, and the remedy to contract failure. Insurance, if contract doesn't insure, if contractor does not insure, whatever reason could be there, insurance is not done. In that case, it is duty of employer to do that service of scarifying that due service, and then sit down somewhere, think of what I have to do, or strategy to adopt. And then we can say notification by contractor. If whatever is to be insured, then you can say you fail, you do not do that. Then notification you receive from from owner or engineer, and of course then you agree with that. So you have to do everything. You have to comply with all requirements. You have to comply with statutes enforced in that area, regulations enforced in that area, and of course payment giving assignment on every requirement. I'm just trying to remind you what we studied. Then you can say notification by contractor. You have to notify people first. What you have done for that? So we may say we have to comply with every rule of law, every statutory provision, every regulation, and of course all of the requirements that are to be mandated before. Then we can say compliance with statute and regulations. Have done whatever is there, you have to comply with, and giving notices and payment of fees, register of commerce. Now we have fossils. Before this compliance statutes and giving of notices and payments of fees, this is very common. Register of fossils is, or you can say antecedents of the country, which were available hundreds of years back. We don't have, but we have fossils. We have some other. During excavation, we get some properties which are government properties, in fact state properties. You cannot own that. Even contractor cannot own, and of course owner too cannot own that. But they are bound by contract that they have to inform owner, and it's up to them owner to do about that, use that, how to transmit to government authorities. And that's mandatory. So you can say, we have said fossils, but It's not only fossils, it's much more. That is scary. Then you can say patent rights and royalties and interference with traffic and adjoining properties. Patent right, royalties, when steps. It's a question of royalties, a design question, it's a question of something else. Patent also use. Then you have to hold traffic and adjoining properties safe. Extraordinary traffic can be there. Then we have to take extraordinary measures against those so that you are safe from impact of air. We have to see that special loads, ordinary traffic or extraordinary traffic, you can say, and special loads, settlement of extraordinary traffic claims, and waterborne traffic means whatever is required in this area, what loads are required, necessary there, extraordinary traffic claims, waterborne traffic claims, and if it goes to, it goes to provision, it goes to contract conditions, then we have to take care of this, these waterborne areas because of import of material or have smooth movement on that area. Waterborne traffic, it could be special loads, it's extraordinary traffic claims. Means we are involved with locality as contractor. We have to take responsibility of everything. It's that type of contract. And we have to take care of other contractors working in that area. It's not necessary it's my area only. There can be complex areas. If you have complex consideration, and we can say other contractors must be taken care of, how they are related to your contract and how you are related to their contract. That points must be considered. Supply of plant, maintenance and workers, site to be kept clean and tidy, clearance of site to completion. There should be no danger during working, and that is very important point that must be care of. Cleaning works means work should be clean, site should be clean, site should be tidy, and it should be kept all time clear of whatever obstruction. Obstruction means delay of work, and obstruction should be removed immediately when activity is done. You have to do work. You cannot do work if obstruction exists. You have to remove obstruction, and that is where we can say very important point. Site to be kept clear of obstructions. You should have continuous supply of plant, materials and workers, and you have to give opportunities to other contractors likewise working as you are working. And there can be multiple contractors on major sites, and cooperation is expected from each and every contractor. No clashes and no ignorance. Everybody has contract, and if you do not cooperate, it can become an issue that why don't you cooperate? What's the problem? And if there is a problem, technical problem or coordination problem, that must be resolved. No one should suffer because of you or me, and I also should not suffer because of others' negligence, other ignorance, and that is not acceptable in this profession of contracting, because everybody has its own interest. So we have to be very careful about that. It's only a few points I am going to give you. Then we come out workforce. Workforce we used to call labor, though I don't like it. But let us see, no problem. Facts remain fact. I can call them workforce. I can call them workers. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong. They are my workers. I am responsible for them as a contractor. I have to use them for my work and I have to pay them. I have to do everything for their welfare, for their survival, for their health, for their food, for their mobility, whatever it is, you can say condition of employment, rates of pay, wage books, trade unions, compliance with clauses, supply, permits, repatriation, contractor to preserve peace, alcohol and drugs, arms and ammunition, religious and other customs, health, housing, water, contractor's responsibility, temporary works, return of labor or worker. These are various points. Maybe these are not limited one, but are at least minimum. What are the conditions of employment? What facilities we have to provide to them? We cannot keep them slaves. We cannot keep them under our power. Human rights must be allowed. Freedom to live must be allowed. Of course, I'm not talking of politics. Politics has nothing to do with that. One should not be involved in politics or in some other arrangement of politics. Conditions means working conditions. My working conditions should be good so that I work safely. I'm not saying I should be king, but at least I should have good food, good clothing, or whatever my contractor, according to agreement I signed, that conditions, those requirements should be implemented. What are rates of pay? Are these in consonance to that nation where work is done? Or because you want to exploit workers, you pay anything? No, you cannot pay whatever you want. It's agreement amount you have to pay. How many days one worked? How many days should be paid? And what is rate of pay? What's the salary you may say? And from nominal salary, we can find out what is per hour rate. That's where we have to take care. Many points are there. Are they allowed, trade unions? We don't want to allow trade unions, and some say no, we want to allow it's our country like that. Okay. Trade unions is not a sin, but it should cooperate and it should be honest. You cannot say because we are this community, we want this, we have to do. No, that's not main point. Main point is different. Then we can say there are so many clauses. There are so many clauses in contract. All clauses must be complied with, and this must comply with workers' supply, permits, repatriation, and whatever is required to be done other than engineering requirement. This you may call it administration requirement. It is administration requirement, fine, okay, that is no problem. It is administration requirement we have to fulfill. Then we can say permits, supplies, repatriation, to send back, all these because we procured them for work, and law doesn't permit to let them stay there without work, particularly in overseas countries like Gulf, like Middle East, where people just go for work for a couple of days, a couple of months, and there's some contracts. And contractors preserve peace because they are workers, they want to talk, they want to enjoy, they want to play. Sometimes all this is not desired. We don't promote them, we don't help them to produce, you can say, to take water and heat up and leave it. It's not possible. So it's duty of contractor to arrange for its own workers from whatever source. And then you can say peace is required because everyday fighting doesn't help. It doesn't help. Then we may say peace alcohol and drugs which are not acceptable. This is criminal law, this criminal action should be taken against them. Of course, then criminal action is there. Religious and other customs, arms and ammunition. No arm is allowed to any worker because no need. Why should worker require arm or ammunition? That's not acceptable. And of course, when I say not acceptable, but if blasting is allowed, generally not allowed, and it's required to excavate in rock, that can be a different case, but not in general. And religious and other customs, after all, they are human beings, our workers. They have certain customs in their lives, and of course, for culture, with their family, everybody becomes emotional. That point we have to keep in our consideration. Otherwise, sorry gentlemen, we can say religious and other customs. It's not that we are secular, they are not secular. It's question of human rights. If somebody wants to abide by this formula, by these philosophies, they can do that, but later on they have to go to 24 hours. Of course, we have religious and other customs, we have health issues, and we have some other issues as well. And that's where we say it's important. Health is issue important, and housing, water is important. Then they have to go to health. Health is very important. Health, safety and ergonomics. They have to take care of housing, they take care of water, housing care, water care. Then housing we have to provide for duration of contract along with water, of course, during the contract, because one person has a house. Of course, then we have to move to housing and water and contracts responsibility and temporary works, and that's very important. Housing in time and water in time. Yes. Then we have to go to other responsibilities and temporary works, so materials and workmanship, which are very important part in permanent works. Materials and workmanship. Material क्या है, उसे कैसे करना है, लगाना है. Let's call this. When we consider materials and workmanship or worship, you can say workship, I should say, rather workmanship, because it's work that's important and not men. Workmen is to do their work there, but what we achieve, that's the result. How is work done? That is important. What quality of material we have included, and what is power of, what is strength of workmanship or worship we employ. Both become dependent on social activities. When we see quality of material, and there is a long list of material to prepare ourselves depending on items covered. In that no is this. Okay, then we can say, okay, that's right. We have an idea here that we can go like this. We have here our, cost, quality of material and workmanship and tests. Materials are unlimited in numbers, and similarly, its quality is unlimited. Depends on which discipline it is, which electrical, civil, mechanical, others, and whatever is given in specifications, that has to be taken care of, and that's what workship and workmanship, we can say workpersonship, we can call by whatever word. There should always be some change, but meaning should be same. And what tests are conducted, we have to abide by, we have to do that. If we have to finally take money, we have to take payment, we have to receive payment of that work. We have to provide samples, and we have to provide all whatever is required for purpose of satisfying specifications, or you can say requirements are met. Then all tasks, whatever is this, that is to be provided. What about access to site? Because site is for you, site is for contractor, site is for engineer, site is for owner. Of course, permission is granted when you take our site after contract has been executed or contract has been decided. Then you have to access site, and all these parties who are in contract have right to access site. If they can't enter site, what's meaning of working? So we have to examination of work before covering up is very important point. You have done a lot, and you have to cover it forever. So whatever is covered means whatever work has been covered, every work should have been inspected and measured. And it should be very serious issue. If you just take samples, attend 6 samples, you taking some sample you taking, you can divide it by 3. And that's a very important point that we have to take care of. Uncovering when suppose we have covered it, and about the inspected that, but inspection is to be required, and we have to uncover that opening and let it be finally agreed. And we can say improper work and materials are seen, or you can say without listening, site is put into practice. That case it should be answered. We can say approval is a must. No improper work is accepted. No improper material is accepted. No substandard work is recognized. And it is, you can say, by mistake of contractors or no mistake of contractors, compliance must be checked, must be measured. And if you do not do that, means we can also be subject to penalty action. And suspension of work, default of contractor has to be taken complete with comprehensive form. If contractor does some default, he does not care about suspension of work due to whatever reason you can say. There can be default for correction of bad work, correction of wrong work. In that case, contractor does not care for time of contract, doesn't care for anything else, and has excessive confidence, though life doesn't give that indication. Then we can say use of metro is are going to do for time. Then move on to suspension of works, and if it lasts more than a specified number of days, suspension continues, but it cannot continue forever. It can't continue forever. That's point you have to keep in mind. Suspension is very complicated issue. It's better for contractors to avoid suspension, because we have to give time to concrete work. These points must be taken care of, and you must keep your eyes only open for speaking. The ear and suspension of work and reinstatement work, or you can say then termination. Of course, there are so many ways, so many routes we have discussed already. Then commencement time and delays. Commencement of works. In this are commencement works, possession of site, values, time for completion, extension of time and completion, no night or Friday work, rate of progress, imposition of penalty, reduction of penalty, consultant's fee for delayed completion, certificate of completion and workplace. Let's say start with that is Supreme Court here in this country, and whatever applies in another country, here we have to take their own way. So position of site, commencement of work. When you get appointment letter or information, or you can say the work has been awarded to you, you can say that's very important day, important stage. Means at that time we should be ready for whatever circumstances we have to see. That should be ready, that should be known, and you can say you have every right to mobilize and start work. Of course, some people don't understand this point, but we have plenty of time, we have so many months, we can do this job, but that is childish behavior. That behavior does not work. Contract is never happy moment. You enjoy that you got a contract, but happy moment is only when your contract moves according to total requirements. Otherwise you have to wait for materials and pay replacement to every others. Commencement date is very important. You can start immediately. Even if position of site is not available, you can ask for position. You can ask for position because you have to mobilize. And you have to take care at that time of values. I explained to you example. We leave. It means they are coming from the site. Well, it's very common sense. Values define that whatever permanent work on site, like electrical pole, or like you can say some cases, like some foreman. You have to keep in mind that whatever we do, it should be according to contract. It should be according to practice. It should not be something done new. No, you cannot do. So you can say time for completion is very important. Time for completion means how many days are fixed for this contract. That is time for completion. And it depends on how many days are there, but I think keeping this number of days, that number of days, does not matter. We're talking of work completion, we're talking of extension of time of completion, and we are talking of no night or Friday work, rate of progress, likewise. We are talking a lot. And talking means doing. It's not simply you talk and run away. You cannot get rid of that. You cannot get off that. You have to do job. Only then you will be paid. And if you are not paid or payment is held, then you lose. So it's basic. Time of completion has to be considered all the time. Every day is counted, should be counted. It should remind it everyone that time of completion is remaining this much, the work is remaining this much. And there can be no compromise on this. And of course, some exceptional cases that in event or in special one, in special event, uses should respect. We have to then, we can say, we don't want to work at night or holidays because we have to keep in mind our workers' strength, our workers' involvement, and what will say about that. We have to have imposition of penalty if our rates of progress are down. What is rate of progress? As we discussed, we have bar chart and we convert that to S curve. Now this table of you can say contents we posted. Then we have to take into our consideration penalties. When we say our program line differs with achievement line, relationship is there. Introduction of penalty, imposition of penalty according to rates of progress, fees, etc. to be paid, and certificate of completion of works. See, contract is very simple document, but it imports all requirements of conditions, and conditions once agreed cannot be changed because it is for permanence, it's for works, it's not for personal issue. So, completion of works can be given only when work is completed, and whatever fees are required to be paid without any problem, without any consideration. We can reduce penalty, we can impose penalty on contractors, it's provision in contract, and we have to maintain offices, maintain sites after original postage period. You can say period of maintenance starts once completion, practical completion, or mechanical completion, as we speak in plants, is obtained. And then it's given, okay, go ahead, write each and every run. Maintenance and defects. Maintenance starts when work has been taken over on mechanical basis, or you can say practical basis. Period of maintenance starts, and that can be according to definition contract data. What is period of maintenance? That is included in the cost itself, so we have to take care of that. Your work should, whatever work you did, it should be properly maintained for that period. And if there are repairs required, somewhere else required, it should be done with agreement of procedures. That is work of repair, and that cost of execution of work of repair is borne by contractor. And if there is a problem in work, then remedy on contractor's failure to carry out works are required, and contractor has to find all problems and of course find solutions to them to apply them correctly. And that's very important point. We can say there should be alteration, there can be addition, there can be omission from scope of contract, and that is as usual. It depends on certain changes in contract design or requirement that are demanded, and that can be considered, you can say, some addition, some alteration, some omission. It depends, and whatever happens that way, it is called variation. It can be additional sum, or it can be deficit, or you can say reduced sum. It applies, and it should be in documentary form. It should not simply be agreed by words. It should be well documented, and then all these variations must be included in the monthly claims, monthly statement of bills, and then if rates are available in lump sum, generally available in other BOQs, but in case it happens that no BOQ exists, in that case then claims, we come to claims. Claims is a very, very wide word, claims. You can say What claims? In fact, dawa. Contractor has claims on works, on variations, or whatever. Likewise, employer has certain claims. These claims should be well analyzed and studied. Importance, impacts are studied. Then we can understand. It doesn't mean that I have 20 claims so far, but I was supposed not only one. But what is, claims means arbitration also. It's not well understood, it's not well obliged. Therefore, it's very important that claims is itself a wide world in contracts. There can be claims on extension of time. There can be claims on defects liability period. There can be claims on some items which have been added or omitted. There can be claims on if there is change in the specification or change in the scope of work. So there is no one type of claim. And there is a claim on bad work as well. So it is all different, and you can say it's a continuous process. It's not never ending process until the project moves on, and that's very patiently we have to study that. Then the issue of plant, temporary works and materials. Plants are required, temporary works are required, materials are required. We'll define them separately. Hired plant, essentially hired plant, unhired plants, whatever plants and traffics we have, how much we can bring in. Very helpful. We have plant, temporary work and materials which are required. Ownership of plant brought to site. It can be hired, it can be unhired, it can be ownership. And we can say whatever plant are required, its abstract is, its summary is, whatever is required must be available on site. And this cannot be removed until work is not done. And when work can be done, there is no need. It can be removed from site. But generally, because plant saves time and it helps in project, so this is very expensive item too. Sometimes it's hired, sometimes it's purchased. It depends upon requirement. So all activities pertinent plant are very important. Examples are there. You may say excavator with ordinary bucket, excavator with hammer, and you can say shovel, or you can say shovel is very important item, and you may also say jackhammer, compressor of small plant, but plant is plant. This can be transportation items like trucks, which already had a contractor. And there will be some not known to us, those products which can be sold millions times and then continues also. So liabilities, everything, plant's liability, material liability, approval of materials. Approval of materials is also done, because without approvals we cannot do any work, particularly of permanent inclusion. Permanent inclusion is very important. As I said, temporary work, preparatory work, permanent work, All these ultimately lead to work, final work. And every proposal, every activity must be approved. That's very basics. Then we can say measurement. Of course, whatever work we do, it has to be measured either before work contract starts, or you can measure it by actual activity, but when it is lump sum fixed price, measurement is only for working purpose, not for payment purpose. That is done best in interest of work. Means measurement is based on quantities. Quantities are measured, variations are measured, foundations are measured, and various methods do exist for measurement. It is day work method, it is payment of a day work. We have decided many methods of measurements. Can we measure or we cannot measure? Or can we quantify or cannot quantify? This is not very complicated. All are thought about this, that what quantities we are going to work, and that quantities are going to comply together when we work. So measurement is a part, means either it has been measured already and we don't change details, measurement works. And if measurement is not available, then and it's not possible to measure, in that case you can say direct approach is important. Then we have provisional and prime cost sum. We explained much about that. Payment of day work also we explained about that. Day work is very important when measurements cannot be affected. We don't have details, but we have work. That work is miscellaneous probably, but because there is no item pertinent that activity, then we have to measure its you can say material contents, its time content, workers content, machine content, and of course supervision contract. Of course this is small equipment, but it constitutes payment. And that's day work every day when you record it. Means there's no further check on that. Once it's recorded and agreed, of course you can say. Provisional cost, provisional sum can be provided in whatever contract for some specific requirements, while this cost is for provisional cost is for practical requirement. Provisional sums can be for subcontractors, appointed subcontractors, or nominated subcontractors, and prime cost sum is for some materials likewise. Use of provisional and contingency items, production of vouchers, cash discount, assignment of subcontract obligations, and nominated subcontractors and payment to nominated subcontractors. This is payment, this is cost, this is whatever you say. Detail should be there, account should be there, cash, discount, or whatever you may say. All these are there. Subcontracts are there. Nominated subcontractors are paid. Work is work and certificates and payments now. Nothing is free in this world. Nothing is free. When we say that there should be some system, there should be some organization, and that is a must. Even if it is lump sum or not lump sum, it depends. But work is to be completed. Whatever nature of job it is, scope of work must be completed. Scope of work must be completed. Certificates and payments, because payment has to be made. It may be item rate, it may be lump sum, it may be fixed price, whatever. We have to state our position every month, that we have to call for meeting, let us say, but for what? For so many issues. When we say monthly statement, there are so many points, you can first read them. Monthly statement, monthly payments, payment of retention money, payment of with you guys. We have monthly statement, monthly payment, payment of retention money, time for payment, correction and withholding of certificates, currency of account, retention of subcontractors, final account, approved only by maintenance certificate, cessation of employer's liability, unfulfilled obligation. I repeat, monthly statement, monthly payment, payment of retention money, time for payment, correction and withholding of certificates, currency of account, retention of subcontractors, final account, approved only by maintenance contractor, certificate, maintenance certificate, cessation of PWS or control or service. All these definitions we have to understand one by one. What is monthly statement and monthly payment? Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. But how to handle it? We use the monthly statement. Yes, there should be payment. You pay every month, pay every month. How can you pay blindly? You cannot pay blindly. There may be 24 months contract, there may be 36 months contract. You have to make payment. Generally we call it running payment, intermediate payment, but final payment is done, project is over. Every month we have to pay to contractor whatever work we didn't receive. Monthly statement means you have to declare in details what work you have done during this month, what are details and how much material you have used, is that approved one, what portion of work we have done, how much we have done, what is the status of program, resources consumed, human resources, machine resources, and what material has been procured, and what is total amount of work done so far, and what is formation versus Monthly payment is done based on monthly statement. When you submit monthly statement, this means previous records are also included. We say this month, up to this month, this is expenses, this is claims, which means total expenses minus retention money minus spent by commercial. We have then payment of retention money as well, and that is at end of part of work or total after monthly payments. Monthly payments means a kind of lucrative payment. Retention money, say 10%, and at end maybe 5%, depends. And that is recovered from bills or valuations. You can say statements where payment is made. Retention money is applied, but that is not permanent reduction, it's only for security purpose. And generally, reputed people don't claim about this. It is already received at the end of the job. Then instead of what? Instead of January. Then time for payment, we can say we have to pay after deductions everything, and it should be paid in defined time, whatever is given in contract. We have to abide by that, and if you don't abide by that, then employer shall have to suffer and give additional payment of interest. So time for payment is defined, and if it's not defined, then can be discussed what we want, what should be happening about this point. We have to be very lucrative, very clear, but sensible as far as this is concerned. Now we go to correction and withholding certificates. What is it? After issuing certificate, we say withholding certificate and correction. Can certificates be withheld? Yes, it can be withheld, but generally it's not done. Corrections are done. If there is an error, it can be corrected. And they have to account for currency of what currency we have to pay. That is in contract or agreed. It's not very complicated. And of course, subcontractors retention, because they are spaced on the applicators have to hold them. After that, we can say all liabilities are covered. You may say account is done, and we can say that measurements are over. Maintenance certificate can be given. Yes. At is done. Maintenance certificate is come to action, and liabilities of owner exhausted. This is a repetition of many understanding of contracts. We have to do remedies, something like that, for feature, valuation of data for feature, urgent repairs. This is about machines, something like that we have studied, and we have to care about special risks which we have defined very well. These are exceptions, these are unknown actions, unknown world, but that is counted to money now. For them, everything is new. Or you can say which are unknown factors, as we used to cover in past conditions, that was called force majeure. That is unknown. That is unknown. We have to face wars. That is a risk. It's not beyond my control. It's of course beyond my control. It's not in my control. It's national control. There can be damages to work by whatever way, not in our responsibility. And there can be war, projectile, missile attack. There can be, you can say, whatever action or internal action against our country or whoever, those all are covered in special risk or force majeure or unexpected events, or you can say unknown events which are not known any time, and you can say there can be increased cost from such actions, some such risks. And there will be outbreak of war also, which can be declared, which cannot be declared both. It's not necessary to be declared, but its impact is seen on works. Then you can say plants issue. Likewise, you have to handle termination. Termination may be by contractor or it may be by employer. Both have right to terminate. And of course, you can say their removal of plants from site when work is over or work is being terminated, and it reminds of how careful they are about we can say we go to frustration. Frustration, what is that? Frustration can lead to termination of contract. We have to be very careful. Frustration means, it is something not very clear. And of course, it can lead to termination and then to disputes resolution. Termination is kind of word we can say in our termination means we have no relation to you. We have relation till this date of completion. And that is a fact. That is very wide word if it is used If it is not used, I think there should be no problem from that point of view. Settlement of disputes, jhagda. Dispute doesn't mean fighting. No, it's not that dispute. It is different. It's very different kind of dispute. It's intellectual dispute. It is dispute due to misunderstanding of clauses of contract, or it's just you can say what I sometimes we do not know what we are talking about because we have no clear idea about that. That is where we have to be very careful while dealing disputes, and these disputes means it is kind of work related dispute. It's not personal dispute, work related disputes, and these are very different. These must be settled, and we can say by definition, by title, this is dispute resolution mechanism. Dispute resolution mechanism. Dispute is occurred and we require to solve it. Can it be solved? That point is very important. There can be whatever type of disputes on contracts, but these should be real. We cannot say that just because you want to go to arbitration, there is no way as such. There is no way as such. On lump sum projects, fixed price projects, very limited chances of disputes, very limited chances. And that is, of course, due to we can start. We'll take up this issue after a couple of minutes, and because of varying reasons every day, dispute is very important part of contract because it involves very many factors. Disputes should be avoided, but sometimes interests come into picture. My interest, contractor's interest, employer interest, public interest, issues come to that level. We have to understand disputes. There may be contracts of millions, many hundred millions, probably, and there can be disputes of, say, 1% amount, 2% amount, 3% amount. You may not say that disputes of 50% amount. That's not going to happen. But whatever it is, We have to realize that fact. It's very important point. We have to understand that fact. Not only realize that fact, but understand that fact. And we have to handle that properly. And now I'll be back after a couple of minutes. As I said, it's important to go and come back. And we have to see what to do. See what to do, how to do. And you take rest. You think on what we should handle, how we should handle. It is question of dispute resolution, and that is called conciliation. That is called conciliation, amicable settlement. That can be called, you can say, dispute avoidance board or dispute resolution board, DIB call it, agreement disputes. And of course we can say that. Then we have engineer there also before that board, engineer, and we have that board we call DAB, which is adjudication and avoidance board. And of course last ultimate is arbitration. That is only an answer for what we think can be done, and we have to do that. There's no other way. If really we want to solve disputes, but I think in such contracts it is easy to solve disputes, not difficult. Well, let me go and see how we can arrange. we have disputes, and how do we have disputes? That is a question here. Why don't we solve them when this happens? After all, what's the problem? And do we think that disputes are related to payment only, or there can be different types of disputes? Indirectly, it will relate to payment, but directly, it is different, you can say. We may say dispute is something, a kind of sometimes ignorance, or sometimes you can say not caring for something that should be cared for. Lump sum fixed price contracts, which we are very interested to know about. It's beyond total understanding of a common person, total understanding of non-professional in engineering who may not be able to understand, you can say, clearly, explicitly about applications of contracts that are based on fixed price lump sum, in which every aspect of contract is well defined. There is no ambiguity left. There is no ambiguity left in contract. And before contract documents, or you can say bid documents, are issued for purpose of tendering, those documents are very voluminous. Every aspect, every point of view that would come into way is considered. It's not simple standard items in that case. Just like if you consider, there's a difference in consideration here. If you take example of lump sum, or if you take example of item rates contract, or if you take contracts where material and what expenses are paid to contractor, and then profits. So generally, either it is lump sum fixed price contract, or it is item rate contract. In item rate contract, there is no fixed price except price of that item per unit rate. And there is a bound that this is quantum of work, or this is, you have to do this quantum of work, and there can be permissible variation, let us say up to 5% plus minus. Means this is, you can say, that amount or quantity that should be carried out on that contract. But item rate is fixed, and you can say there can be nothing as such where you may say everything is defined. But when you consider, in that case item rate, you have to measure everything. You have to measure every work. There can be 100 items, 200 items. You have to measure every item. This means when tender documents were prepared, total scope was not taken into consideration. Quantification was not very accurate. And all those conditions which are considered in lump sum fixed price contract may not be considered. No need of consideration of all those, because ultimately measurement shall be done. And measurement means why to work unnecessarily? As we have estimated quantities, that's enough. And why should you worry about that? Contract should not worry about that. We are saying this is our schedule, this is our bill of quantities, where quantities are mentioned, and you have to fill up rates only and find amount. And even on rates base this can be granted, no problem. Only for directive purpose amount is there, estimated amount is there. You can say there's different kind of work, where the risk of contracts are covered. If you do this was quantity, If you carry out this quantity, you shall be paid for that. If this quantity means there is no quantity risk involved, and you can say contractor is safe. Now this quantity may be sufficient for this project or not, that is different. That's internal matter of employer. As far as contractor is concerned, contractor has to do only that time is important, and of course that time also is not to that requirement as a lump sum fixed price. But if you take into consideration lump sum fixed price, it's entirely different world. It's entirely different world. In itemized price, you take measurement, you record measurement, you compile measurement, and then whatever work has been done in 1 month, that billing or valuation is carried out, and of course payment is made. Payment is same. In lump sum, it is different because there are limitations. Limitations on both parts. It is complete design. Of course, design is in every project. Design is very big, and lump sum fixed price projects are done for very prestigious projects. These are lump sum method. Lump sum fixed price method is applied to very prestigious projects. This cannot be applied to ordinary projects because we have to know everything. Design should be complete. Scope should be complete. Scope of works, scope of contract. Then price can be worked out only when clear scope is available, and that is where point lies in. When we have major projects which run in millions and millions, or we may say multi-millions, you can say volume of work is that much for tender documents composition, that is, it's kind of research, you can say, because design should be correct. It should be as much correct as possible, as much nearest to requirement as possible, so that least variations may be expected. Exact specifications which are required are decided before bid is over. Nobody prefers variations. Nobody prefers, you can say, disputes. Technical work, engineering work in that kind of work, that kind of project or tender or contract is completely detailed out. Complete BOQ is prepared. So we say that this is tentative, this is indicative, this is not exact, that we say, because we do not want to take responsibility as engineers. We do not want to take responsibility as employer. We want to leave that part of responsibility onto shoulders of contractor. We say this is BOQ, This is indicative, it is not mandatory. It is your responsibility as a bidder to make sure what quantities would be required, but design is this. If it is construction contract only, red book. Yes, if it is silver or EPC, then design responsibility goes to contractor as well. Now let us keep off EPC, we talk of construction only, and that is red book, because we have to understand first. First requirement is how to understand contract. We cannot immediately understand impact of EPC if you don't understand red or construction. In construction contract, design, as we know, is carried out by employer through engineer, and there can be no change in design at time of bid. There may be changes later on, but that constitutes variation. This means work of design is very significant before bid is declared. Work of design is very important, and work of design means if it's only civil work, it's fine, but there are something else involved, some equipment are involved, or some other items are involved that where maybe engineer is not sure about which machine would fit in, or engineer may not have that expertise at that time, the expert professional with that engineer. So we just can say we can limit it to construction engineering only. Of course, with some normal machines like HVAC equipment, electrical equipment, not very wide, only ordinary chillers, package units, air handling units, ducting system, ducting fittings, plumbing system, plumbing fittings, electrical system, electric fittings, likewise, which are very, very normal and for which everything is clear. May say quantification before bid is very significant, though we say only, but it's very significant. First, design is significant. And design these days is not very difficult. We have hundreds of designs, hundreds of software. So I think design correctness is ensured. Maybe some variation that is different, but on an overall basis, it is sure. Architectural design, structural design, services design, and whatever else. And we just keep a flexibility in services designs that this is schematic, this is not actual. You have to work out according to requirement and provide reliable design for which you can consider cost into your bid. But quantity is not guaranteed by engineer. Quantity is left to contractor's responsibility. This means even though your BOQ is 100% correct, contractor cannot make it for it. If contractor is experienced, yes, it can accept that. It's up to contractor, up to bidder. But if there is an error in quantity, then sufferer would be bidder. Therefore, it is bidder's responsibility. Which means bidder has to share any loss due to quantity, and if information about that site is not clearly given, it's also said that this is indicative and it is responsibility of bidder to investigate, to visit site, and to inquire about local issues, about whatever issues, about underneath what is there. This means it is responsibility, official responsibility of bidder to be strong enough to know about that project through drawings, and through sight. Exactly. Otherwise, there can be no measurement after bidder is awarded as contractor. All designs details are required to be carried out according to given specifications. There is no choice, there is no option. There may be different ways to say that we can alternative design. It's not going to happen. It wouldn't happen because who bothers? But as far as quantity is concerned, as far as site is concerned, these are important issues. You have to rework on quantities, in fact. If you have some doubt, if you have an assessment in mind, I can assess this project. This quantity appears to be 98% correct, 99% correct, that consultant or that designer has given. It depends. Sometimes it cannot be. So what happens? Why to take risk? Why not to ask one or two quantity surveyor to check quantities better so that you can be clear about what's margin of error in this is. Similarly, quantities of steel reinforcement is very difficult. Same way, it means you have to work on that. Then you have to visit site many times because you cannot imagine everything ideal is ideal, cannot imagine. It's therefore very important for everyone to actually be intelligent enough to act professionally in every case so that we avoid errors. Because before bid is closed, this is only an opportunity. Once bid is closed and submitted, you have no way out to come out of that mistake or error which you have caused without going through conducting total scrutiny of bid, and that's where I still remember some cases where quantity was wrong and that bidder, it was long back and not now, that bidder made an error in major project and there was a difference of 18 million. In so hurry, he forgot that there was a basement also because he referred it to another building, that this building are same, and he quoted same price. He did not investigate properly. He did not, I think, maybe did not allow or did not engage some professional or engineer to look into that, and ultimately he missed that basement. So what I mean to say, very small bidders don't have that much infrastructure, and they want to get job. They want to get job. This happened That's what I say. Lump sum, lump sum projects, particularly lump sum fixed price projects, not only lump sum fixed price, whereas there is no negotiation, nothing can be done on price part. Mistakes are conducted, and if project is very big, where multi hundred, or you can say many hundred millions are involved, particularly overseas I'm talking, where real or dram or sterling or whatever else, euro, are part of currencies where millions is very big amount. Here in our country, rupee, so no problem. You have also same problem. If you make mistake, I have also noted that in Bharat, India, experience on lump sum fixed price is very limited, because it used to be an item rate country where items are measured. But what is lump sum fixed price? It's a different world. And because both parties, employer and contractor, are not experienced on that type of contracts, they often misinterpret, misconstrue conditions of contract, and they don't even understand, what is first and what is second document, or you can say what is precedent. They don't understand what is meaning of what. They don't really understand sometimes what is meaning of FIDIC and how its contents of clauses work. What is meaning of lump sum fixed price, and they also do not have adequate knowledge of conciliation, or you can say arbitration. I understand it's not their fault, it's fault of none. Until you have thorough knowledge of contracts, that's a part of engineering. It is contract engineering, it is contract arbitration, and arbitration is engineering. You can say arbitration engineer, or you can say DAB engineer, or you can say project engineer. Project engineer or engineer is a contract position, and of course DAB is a contract position, and arbitration or arbitration engineer is also a contract position. These are very significant jobs, significant activities that one has to do, and if we miss that, I think we sit in wrong boat. We cannot sit in wrong boat and move boat. How? We have to understand flow of direction, we have to understand everything, and only then we can say yes, that's what is right, that's what is wrong. So we have to understand value of time, we have to understand value of documents, we have to understand value of communication, we have to understand value of coordination. That's why I write always that we have to understand organization, we have to understand communication, coordination, and we have to understand quality. We have to understand design and construction, because both are responsible for project. It's not alone design or construction, because design plus construction is important, and methods plus contracts are important, and you can say it is engineering, it is quality. It doesn't mean quality of material only, it is quality of system, it's quality of organization, it's quality of contract document, it's quality of construction, it's quality of how to resolve disputes. It's not everybody can resolve disputes on complicated contracts. There can be design questions, there can be technical questions involved, there can be disputes on approval of items, there can be whatever kind of that. Every ABC cannot understand this. You should have engineering basis and not only engineering basis. You should have engineering experience. It can be design experience plus construction experience. It can be construction contract experience. That point weighs a lot. And this cannot be avoided. Quality comes into play. Quality comes into play. Quantity comes into play. And as well as, supervision comes into play. Impact of supervision, impact of execution, and of course records. We know every issue cannot be recorded because it is huge, it is construction. Only significant points are considered because the stages are as such. We cannot say for every instruction there should be record, it's not possible. But methods, for example, method statements, minutes of meeting, whatever meeting, coordination and technical meeting, or technical and coordination meeting, or you can say project contract meeting or contract progress meeting, or whatever you can say, materials approvals and drawing approvals. Why delayed? What was reason? Because delay is on both hands, delay in submission or delay in contracts on way, or delay by engineer, and of course payment issues. Why payments not made in time? Why work was done wrongly? Why no action was taken against that person who did wrong work? Means there is no one point. It is technical, commercial, skill. If suppose there is a dispute on concrete, who shall solve it? It's also a question of arbitration. It involves time, cost, everything. It is not in hands of court. It's in hands of engineers. It's in hands of engineering personnel. That's why I say it's very important point, and care should be taken for that. I will continue this because this is very important. Contracts are very important. We just cannot go through contract papers and say I can do it. It's a field. It's a field of contract. It's a world of contract which results into quality as well as bad quality, which results into production as well as losses. It results into everything, but it should be clearly understood. It's not simply design that can result in project. It cannot be construction that is a project. It's a combination of both. And third party has how to understand this. Third party just keep themselves as third party consultants, but they do not know what is contract. And those who supervise, they do not know what is contract. They say, but they don't analyze properly. Contract can be analyzed before it is issued as tender bid. It can be analyzed at whatever stage it can be, and that is a requirement. Analysis of contract conditions, analysis of are these conditions justified for this project or just we are playing with that. All this must be done. हमें खेलना ही खेलना है, काम से काम करके देना है, सही करके देना है. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है ये, करार है ये, मजाक नहीं है ये, करोड़ों अरबों का खेल है ये. इसमें हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि मेरी चलनी चाहिए, आपकी चलनी चाहिए. जो सही है वो चलना चाहिए. उसके लिए हमको समझना होगा हम क्या कह रहे हैं. काम करके देना आसान नहीं होता है. क्योंकि काम करना, चाहे डिज़ाइन का काम हो या कंस्ट्रक्शन का काम हो या कोई भी काम हो, थर्ड पार्टी का काम हो, उसके अंदर हमको वो एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए, वो कॉन्सेप्ट चाहिए. हमें किसी को यहाँ खुश नहीं करना है, कर भी नहीं सकते हम खुश. हमें किसी से लेना भी नहीं अपनी फीस के अलावा, अपने काम के अलावा, अपनी रेमुनरेशंस के अलावा. इसलिए ये सब बातें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हैं. इंजीनियर्स को समझनी चाहिए. ये मैं उनके लिए नहीं कह रहा जो इंजीनियरिंग के लोग नहीं हैं, मैं उनके लिए कह रहा हूँ इंजीनियरिंग के लोग. एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है. आप इसको अवॉइड क्यों करते हैं? आप जितना डिज़ाइन में इंटरेस्ट लेते हैं, जितना टेक्निकल में इंटरेस्ट लेते हैं, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट भी टेक्निकल है भाई. इंग्लिश पे मत जाइए आप, उसके कंटेंट्स पे जाइए, उसके इम्पैक्ट पे जाइए. डिज़ाइन बेकार हो जाता है अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बेकार हो जाए तो, और डिज़ाइन सही हो तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट भी सही चलता है, इंफॉर्मेशन सही हो तो. अगर डिज़ाइन डिले करा दे तो कंस्ट्रक्शन वाला क्या करेगा, और कंस्ट्रक्शन सही ना हो तो डिज़ाइन वाला क्या करेगा। ये सब बातें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हैं। और मैं इसको यहाँ बंद करता हूँ, आपसे फिर मिलेंगे। थैंक यू वेरी मच, आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस वेल, वी विल सी अगेन, थैंक्स।